That's the joke. No.
Oh, wow.
You're thinking that's the joke, right? And so Peter meets him, and Lars says, "I just have one question. I'm only 42. It's kind of young. I was healthy." And Peter said, "Well, just a minute." He gets out his story of his life. He says, "You're 42." He says, "But according to your billable hours, you're 84." All right. Well, a couple minutes here, and if I can make some sense of this, is so Love Your Life workshop. Of course, I always go back, as I think about it during the week, I go back to Jesus saying, the greatest commandment is to love God with your heart, soul, strength, and mind. In other words, with everything that you love God in. So the question is always, how do you do that? So is that, and for some of us who grew up in a religious atmosphere, sometimes we can feel like, well, that's when you do religious stuff. And so then we end up compartmentalizing our lives. We have this religious stuff that we do, that's loving God, then we have the rest of our life. So then Jesus goes on to, I think, explain how you do that. And so he tells his story, and he tells his story because he says that there's a second great commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. And I think they're connected. I think this is in a way how you love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. You love your neighbor as yourself. So maybe he was anticipating kind of that question. And so he tells a story, of the guy gets jumped and left for dead, and the people who pass by are religious people. So they're on their way to do their religious stuff that we might be inclined to say, that's loving God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. It's a priest, a Levite, And of course they couldn't touch a dead body, they'd be unclean, or whatever. Who knows what they were thinking. But then a Samaritan who had improper doctrine, his doctrine wasn't correct. The Samaritans didn't have the understanding. They didn't worship at the right place or do the right stuff, and they had intermarried in their history with other nations, so they weren't pure, And Jesus makes him the hero of the story. And so we look at what he did, and Jesus says, that's it. This is what you do this, and you'll be living. You'll be really living. You'll do this, and you'll be really living. And so that's always in the back of my mind, that story. And so what I was thinking about this week is, as we seek to live for God, we seek to be the person we most want to be. This idea of practice making it shine. I just want to maybe lock that into your minds. Practice making it shine. And I say that because there's always this tendency in our lives to, at least for me, and I'm sure it's for most of us, that it's so easy to fall into just getting by. Just doing what we need to do to get by. That's true of all of us, everyone. Just doing what we need to get by, I wonder if President Obama at this point is just like,
oh, he's mailing it in.
I just want to do what I got to get by and get out of here. Somebody else handle it.
I voted for him twice too, but can't wait to get out of office.
Probably every president about this time is like, but in our lives, in our lives, in our work, in our just daily stuff, in our relationships, and so we have this. Every day we have this kind of option. Well, I can kind of just do things and get by, and I could probably get by with just getting by. Or I could say, I want to make it shine. I want to make it shine. I have these floors that we have at work, and they're cement floors, but they've been put a seal on them, and I have this buffer. It's my buffer. Nobody else touches this buffer, right? And I love to, in the morning, make the floor shine. That's just like So it's one of my mottos, I want to make it shine. And I've gotten busy this year, and I haven't run the buffer as much. I've been doing other things. And but I think about that for our lives, and what a great thing to have in our minds. How do I make my life shine? How do I go about my day? So you know what? I could just get by. Nobody's going to really notice me. But what if I have a philosophy, or I have a goal? I'm going to make it, in every little thing I do, I'm just going to make it shine. And so what does that mean? And so I think of Jesus saying, let your light shine. And so it may be taking a little bit different look with that. And when I was younger, letting your light shine, maybe for me meant like going out and doing good or beating people over the head and telling them about God, and let your light shine. I'm going to be the best person in the world. But what if letting your light shine was just adding your personal touch to all the little things that we do? Or taking every little task and say, I want to do this well. I'm just going to focus on this little task and do it well. And nobody else may notice the difference. Nobody may notice the difference. But I think it has an effect on us and on our spirit when we approach it that way. Letting our light, or making it shine. How can I make it shine? I think it's a matter, once again, of adding our personal touch. And I believe that you and I, every single person has a personal touch that no one else has. No one else has exactly the personal touch that you have. And Glenn, I don't know why you went into that Rite Aid, but maybe you have a personal touch that just listened to that woman in a way that nobody else does at that moment, or was in position, And so it's kind of a mystery, and I love in Romans 12. It's Romans 12 where Paul starts talking about all the different gifts that we have, And I love it because he just says, if this is your gift, do this. What a simple thing, But how often we forget, that Larry, you're talking about sometimes falling into feeling sorry for ourselves, looking at others, And sometimes we look at other people's gifts. So, if only I could do that. But every single one of us has a gift that is more than more than our talents that stand out, but the gift of just being who we are. I just really believe that the gift of really just being who we are, and this person that we were created to be, and that trusting that as I go out, trusting that my job as I go out is to really be Dave. But Dave Unleashed.
Coming soon.
Now, Dave Unleashed is a lot different than other people Unleashed.
Is this the new album?
And by that, I just mean, the little things. I really think little things that we do, that we see and we think about. We have this impulse to put a special touch on it, whether it's with a person or just a job that we do, once again, that nobody else will see. It makes a difference. And I think people do somehow see that. And I think that's how we let our light shine, is we have this motivation to just make it shine. Make it shine. So that could be a lot of things. That could be, like I said, even with my floors at work, I can get by without running the buffer all year. I know how teachers are. They're not too worried about the floors. They have a lot of other things to worry about, But that's my job, to make it shine, And so you make it shine by putting your own, going out and knowing that God has put something in you He has not put in another person. And so to make it shine is not looking out for some other thing that maybe I could do to make this big splash in the world, to shine this big sun, but it's right here, it's right in front of me, it's where I am right now. And to give ourselves to it and be who we are. Sometimes what happens is we get locked into fear. We're afraid to move forward. We're afraid to express ourselves. We're afraid to kind of put ourselves out on the line, where we shrink back. And you know what the Bible says about fear? It says love, perfect love, casts out fear. And so that's what I always try to remember. The motivation for making it shine is love. The motivation for making our lives shine and making our work shine and making our relationships shine is love. And sometimes it's such a simple thing. We fall into that trap of just getting by. And all it takes is just stepping out of that into love and concern for the other person. And put ourselves, like we talk about, in that person's shoes. Or whether somebody we know, we're married to, we're friends with, or, you know. And that's how we shine. Anyway, that's all I have. That's all I have. Period. The end. I have another lawyer joke. But if you'd like to send, if you got anything out of today's message and you would like to send,
put your hand on the computer screen.
you'll see me at Route 40 and
Just can't get it stopped. The joke just starts writing itself.
I do trust small denominations.
I do trust Glenn to edit.
So Dave, I don't have a song, but I have a joke I can contribute.
All right.
All right.
Of course.
All right, so there's this fellow that has spent his entire life accumulating an enormous amount of wealth. And he's always done great works with his wealth, and he's been a man of great faith. And his final hour comes, and he's in prayer, and he says, you know, Lord, I've spent so much time accumulating all that I have, and I've done so many good works with it. I know that it's a strange request, but can I just take 2 suitcases worth of stuff to heaven with me? And God, being all-knowing, knows what he's going to do, so he says, sure, bring whatever you want, 2 suitcases. So this guy goes through all of his stuff, and he sells off everything, and he actually buys from the treasury these gold ingots, like pure gold bricks. And he's got these 2 heavy suitcases of this gold brick, and he's coming into heaven, and St. Peter meets him at the gate and says, you know, I got a note here that says you're allowed 2 suitcases, but I've never seen this before. I've got to ask, can I look in your suitcases? No one's ever done this. So with a big smile, he opens it up, opens a suitcase. St. Peter looks at him and goes, paving stone? Really? Paving stone? That's it. It's a good joke.